What's up, YouTube? Thomas L here. With Aquaman opening Friday, I decided to do a top 10 list of my 10 favorite DC movies. Because, yeah, I do kind of like lots of Marvel and lots of good DC movies, in my opinion, of course. Lots of people probably, find my list, very different than theirs. And the films on my list, lots of people probably don't like, So anyway, that being said, here's my top 10 favorite DC movies. Coming in at number 10 is Batman vs. Superman. This is going to be really controversial, but I don't care. I really dug Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. It pretty much debuted Ben Affleck as Batman. And I thought Affleck as the role of Batman was just amazing. I would admit this movie did have lots of problems, and I mean lots of problems. Like the Doomsday scene, I would admit the Doomsday did not look so good here. But, I thought it was pretty decent. I know lots of people don't like it and that's cool, but for me, I thought it was really good. And of course, the Martha scene, that's gonna be that Martha scene is gonna be iconic from years to come. I tell you right now. I mean, that's probably gonna end up being more iconic than bat nipples, you know. But I gotta say, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, to me, it kind of worked. I know lots of people trash on Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. But to me, I thought he was not bad. He was a different Lex Luthor than you're used to seeing. But overall, I thought Batman vs Superman was still pretty decent. Oh, and Jeremy Irons as Alfred. That's an amazing casting, by the way. Coming in at number 9 is Man of Steel. Now, John Campea actually calls this movie a masterpiece of the superhero genre. I mean, I like Man of Steel, but to me, it's not a masterpiece. The number one film in my list is actually the masterpiece of the comic book genre. I'm going to talk about that later on, though. But Man of Steel is still pretty good. Henry Cavill is a really amazing Superman. He's probably one of the best ones, maybe next to Christopher Reeve. But Henry Cavill is a really good Superman. And I really like his chemistry with Amy Adams, who of course plays Lois Lane. You even have Lawrence Fishburne here. Who else was in this? Oh yeah, Michael Shannon as Zod, a really good villain. You had Kevin Costner, Diane Lane, who's now best known for Martha. I mean, Diane Lane has been in so many movies before being a part of the DCU. But sad part is when people see her on the streets now, they're probably gonna make some Martha jokes instead of making jokes to her earliest work. But anyway, yeah, Man of Steel is really good. It had some pretty cool visual effects. Like I said, Cavill as Superman, worked pretty well. I really like Man of Steel. It's pretty decent. Coming in at number 8 is Justice League. Now, this is also going to be a little controversy, but I really dug Justice League. I had fun with it. I would admit the villain in this really stunk. It did not have a good villain at all. I'm going to say up front, that's actually my big problem with this movie was the villain. I thought, Jason Momoa as Aquaman, he was a scene stealer. Ben Affleck he's probably one of the best Batman we've ever had. Henry Cavill, of course, you never CGI a mustache, people. Let me any Hollywood exec watching, do not CGI a mustache, because yeah. And also Ezra Miller as I think I already said that, but Ezra Miller as the Flash, worked good. Gal Gadot, I simply adore her as Wonder Woman. and the end credit was actually really solid. It's probably one of my favorite end credits of last year. It's a really good end credit scene. If you guys seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna spoil or anything. But too bad it didn't do so well because I'll be down to see another Justice League. But who knows? Maybe we'll probably get another one down the line, or maybe the DCU was just playing a reboot or whatever. But overall, I really dug Justice League. I mean, I actually saw the movie 3 times, in theaters, and I had fun with it a lot. And this might be a little bit of a spoiler, but the scene with the Flash as Superman. If you guys seen the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. I still want to know who won that race. I'm really curious to see who won that race, but yeah, Justice League, I simply thought was awesome. Coming in at number 7 will also be a little controversial. Number 7 is Suicide Squad. I'm telling you now, I've loved every one of the DCU movies. I mean, yes, lots of them had problems and all, but I kind of had fun with them. And Suicide Squad to me, it's actually pretty awesome. Jared Leto as the Joker. I don't care what anyone says. I thought Jared Leto as the Joker worked out pretty well. Sorry about that. Anyway. And, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn I liked. Will Smith as Deadshot. Suicide Squad, to me, was really fun. Of course, I like how they interpreted the Queen music here as well. It also had some pretty funny one-liners. Although, like I kind of said with Justice League, I would admit the villain here was horrible. It did not have a good villain. The villain here was Enchantress, yeah. Played by Cara Delevingne. She would have been good if she was a side villain. But as the main villain, she was not all that good. I like Cara Delevingne too. She's kind of won me over a little bit as an actress. But her as Enchantress just did not work well. I mean, she probably, like I said, she could have been better if she was just a side villain. But as the main villain, I didn't care for it much. And that whole dancing thing, that scene was not all that good either. But overall, I still thought this was pretty decent. And I'm down to see more films in the Suicide Squad universe. I still cannot wait for that Gotham City Sirens. And I think that Jared Leto's returning as the Joker for another film. I'm not really sure there. And I think there's also a sequel coming out as well. So, hey, more Suicide Squad. I'm all in. All right. Coming in at number 6 is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was really good. Gal Gadot, her as Wonder Woman works pretty well. Gal Gadot's still not that strong of an actress, I will admit there. But, Patty Jenkins, she did a really good job at, hiding Gal Gadot's weaknesses and having Gal Gadot do pretty well as the role of Wonder Woman. And of course, you had Chris Pine, Danny Houston. I will admit the villain in this wasn't all that good either. I gotta say the DCU movies, I've loved them, but some of the villains are not that great. Other than Micah Shannon, as Zod, most of the villains, I don't know, weren't all that the best. But anyway. To me, I think the villains in the DCU are probably weaker than the MCU villains. If that makes any sense. But anyway, yeah, I still like Wonder Woman, and I cannot wait for Wonder Woman 1984. That comes out in 2020. Too bad we had to wait for 2 years, but... Coming in at number 5 is Tim Burton's Batman Returns. Batman Returns is pretty much a sequel to Tim Burton's Batman, which I'm going to talk about later on. And here you had Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. You even had what else was in this? Oh yeah, Danny DeVito as the Penguin, and this I guess you could say this is technically a Christmas movie as well. I mean, Danny DeVito as the role of the Penguin that worked perfectly. I thought he was a really good Penguin. Of course, that Batman Returns was also the last time Michael Keaton, put on the cape. Michael Keaton is a really good Batman, and it's a shame we never got to see him as Batman, after Batman Returns. But who knows? Maybe one of these days he'll decide to may play an old man Batman. Anyway. But yeah, Batman Returns is to me it's pretty good. It's definitely probably one of my favorite comic book movie sequels. I mean it's not as good as the original Batman, but it's still a pretty solid sequel. Oh, and I should mention Christopher Walken was in this. I almost keep forgetting Walken was in Batman Returns. Anyway, coming in at number 4 is Batman Begins. Now, this was the first comic book movie directed by Christopher Nolan, and this pretty much launched his Batman universe film. It Batman Begins. It probably has one of the best origin stories I've seen in a superhero film. And Christian Bale as the role of Batman is amazing. You even had Cillian Murphy as the Scarecrow. Katie Holmes was in this. Michael Caine as Alfred. I'm trying to know which is about Alfred, between Michael Caine or Jeremy Irons. That's an interesting debate. But anyway. Yeah, and pretty much, this was the first Batman movie since, Batman and Robin, which I admit, that's not that good of a film. But Batman and Robin is kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. Somehow, I mean, other than the bat nipples, something about Batman and Robin I always enjoyed. I mean, it was just very cheesy and all, but anyway, getting off subject. But as I was saying, Batman Begins, it's still pretty good. I mean, it was a film that pretty much returned Batman to glory after, Batman and Robin, which lots of people did not like at all. Like pretty much Batman and Robin kind of killed the live action Batman tropes until Batman Begins got released in 2005. So, but anyway, yeah, Batman Begins is still pretty good. Christopher Nolan did a pretty good job at directing, and yeah, if you guys still haven't seen it, definitely give this one a go. All right, coming in at number 3 is Superman. Of course, this one had the great Christopher Reeve as Superman. I mean, I thought Christopher Reeve as Superman was amazing. He's pretty much iconic as the role of Superman. You, of course, had Margaret Kidder as Lois Lane. That was pretty good. Then there was other Superman sequels that got released after this. The one with Richard Pryor was pretty decent, but I think it's the fifth one, like the fifth Superman. Forgot the actual name, but it's that the fifth one is that bad. But anyway, the first Superman is where it's at. The iconic scene where Superman is flying with Lois Lane is iconic. Yeah, and you even had Marlon Brando in Superman as I believe he plays Zod, if I'm not mistaken. To be honest, it's been a while since I've seen the original Superman, but yeah, I remember really enjoying it when I first saw it. And this movie pretty much kicked off. I think this movie kicked off the comic book genre, if I'm not mistaken. Then after this, we had lots of other comic book genres here and there, but yeah, Superman is a classic. Now, Christopher Reeve, I gotta say, is probably my second favorite Superman, right behind Henry Cavill. and maybe in front of Brandon Routh. Brandon Routh was a pretty good Superman too. But anyway, coming in at number 2 is Batman, the Tim Burton one, which got released in 1988 or 87. Or 89, around those. It was in late 80s. I mean, Jack Nicholson as the Joker is iconic. You had Kim Basinger here, Michael Keaton, as the role of Batman. Believe it or not, back in when Michael Keaton was first announced, lots of people hated that idea. I mean, I wasn't around the 80s to really know that for much, but I read online that I read some history about the Tim Burton's Batman, and when Michael Keaton was cast, lots of people did not like that idea because before this, he did that movie Mr. Mom, and lots of people were saying, "Well, wait, this guy from Mr. Mom is gonna be Batman." Okay, but of course there wasn't Twitter or Facebook around that year, so no one did really complain about online like lots of people do now. But then when Batman got around, lots of people eat it up, including myself. I think Michael Keaton is definitely one of the best Batmans ever. He has that great charisma as the role of Batman. He plays the role. He played the role perfectly. And Jack Nicholson, I loved him as the Joker. This also has some pretty cool action scenes. I mean, yeah, if you guys never seen Tim Burton's Batman by now, check it out. It's an iconic Batman film. All right, coming in at number 1 is another Batman, and it's probably the masterpiece of them all, and that is The Dark Knight. I love The Dark Knight. This, of course, had the late, great Heath Ledger as the Joker. I mean, Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker is probably my favorite Joker portrayal. Maybe next to Jack Nicholson. And Cesar Romero was, of course, a good Joker as well. But The Dark Knight, this is Christopher Nolan's masterpiece. What he did with this movie is iconic. You had Aaron Eckhart as a Two-Face. You also, of course, Heath Ledger was an amazing Joker. Let's see. Oh yeah, Christian Bale he's definitely also one of the best Batmans we've ever had. Maybe next, I gotta do a ranking of the best Batmans. I guess Christian Bale will be number 1. Maybe Michael Keaton as number 2, and Ben Affleck as number 3. Because Christian Bale, I mean, him as the role Batman he played that role just perfectly. Michael Caine as Alfred, such an amazing performance by Michael Caine. Of course, Morgan Freeman was in this. Maggie Gyllenhaal replaced Kate Holmes. Now, kind of like how I said how a lot of people did not like the Michael Keaton casting as Batman. Before The Dark Knight, lots of people hate the idea of Heath Ledger as the Joker. I mean, when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, lots of people thought that was the dumbest casting DC's ever done. And look what happened. Heath Ledger, became the Joker and played the role perfectly, and he won an Oscar for playing the Joker. Now I know that Black Panther might actually end up being the first comic book movie to get nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. This movie should have been the first one. It's a masterpiece. It's definitely one of the best comic book movies ever. It's really dark. It's for a PG-13 movie. This movie is also really gritty. This film shows that you don't really need to be rated R to be violent. This movie is PG-13, and it's actually more violent than you expect. And works out good. The Dark Knight is definitely one of the best DC movies ever. I mean, the movie turned 10 years old this year, and it still holds up. I think this movie is going to hold up till, years to come. It's that good of a film. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my 10 favorite DC movies. Let me do the quick rundown. Number 10, Batman vs. Superman. 9, Man of Steel. 8, Justice League. 7, Suicide Squad. 6, Wonder Woman. 5, Batman Returns. 4, Batman Begins. 3, Superman. 2, Batman. 1, The Dark Knight. Now, there's a few other DC movies I could have added. To me, Catwoman's also kind of a guilty pleasure. I know lots of people trash on that, but let's see. Green Lantern is. I don't know why everyone hates Green Lantern. That wasn't all of that half bad. Red is a pretty good one. I mean, there's been DC movies that don't have that are not Batman related. I mean, there was not Jonah Hex. Oh, thank you. Superman Returns is pretty good. The Losers, Watchmen. And if you want to go to animated, territory, I guess you could say Batman, the Mask of Phantasm, Batman Year One, Batman versus Robin, Son of Batman, Lego Batman movies, another pretty good one. But let me leave it to you guys. What are your favorite DC movies? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is Thomas L. signing off.